Hey guys, just here doing some pre-market analysis. I know I haven't done one of these videos in a while. It's been a busy couple months, um, but just wanted to check back in, show you some of the stuff that I've been up to. So right here, what we're looking at is the micro NASDAQ futures, which I often use the micro chart for my longer term analysis because that's what I would be trading off of. But we could just as easily look at the regular futures here, and let's just go ahead and clear drawings. Okay, so let's just take a look at this really quick and just see kind of what's been going on. So obviously this was our big sort of drawdown period that we had. Just barely took out these lows here. In fact, that actually tripped some stops for me, which is kind of a bummer because didn't get back in till a little bit higher, which is generally not what we want to do. So once it tripped my stops underneath here, I was kind of hoping we'd continue down further. But them's the breaks, and we'll deal with it as it comes. So now we're kind of just looking for opportunities, generally to the buy side. This is a 4-hour chart of NASDAQ. If we look at this, obviously on the weekly, you know, um, again, these are kind of the lows that we tripped the stops off of. On my wife's longer term accounts, my stops are underneath these bigger lows down here. So obviously we didn't come anywhere close to those, but I trade my account a little bit more actively. And so obviously we're still just in this big weekly uptrend. We haven't broken any significant support areas. If we just kind of take a look at this across here with the volume, we had this support that was created right here, but this is really short-term support. So we kind of, we poked up, created a bunch of volume at this top, and then came back down, kind of broke this support area. But this is really the next major level of support. And this is where I was kind of hoping we'd come down and test this stuff, and this would provide a good long-term entry. But so far we haven't made our way back down there. It doesn't mean that we still can't. I mean, we're not breaking highs yet, and there is just, really mixed economic news out there right now. So I think it's a period where we could see, even some of this stuff. We could see some of this kind of thing like back here, some of this kind of thing where we kind of poke up to new highs, but still have some deeper pullbacks. So I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, maybe we just continue a nice big push from here, but you know, we haven't had one of these deep. Obviously, some of these are, COVID and stuff like that, but we haven't had anything really deep in a while. And this may be all we get for now, so that's fine. So just kind of looking at that, we can get rid of this for right now. Just kind of looking at this now on sort of a more immediate term, what are we looking at? So if we pull up just some volume for what's been going on, recently, again, we've got this little chunky volume right here that's just from this tiny consolidation and then some of this stuff that occurred over here too. So I've got the volume of kind of the whole thing, but even if I just pull up this, if it's going to load for me, come on, sucker. There we go. So you can see that little chunky volume right there that kind of created, this volume right here created some resistance, and we're still kind of dealing with that resistance. I mean, we poked out above a little bit, and this could be just a little bit of a pull down and retest type situation. This is the daily chart. We do have another bit of resistance up here that we really want to be aware of. So that's at 15,595, right? That big chunk of volume up there. And it's actually, there's more than that because I wasn't even taking this whole top here. So you can see the volume there is almost as significant as the volume here. And so at this point, being that we poked out above this becomes sort of the next logical sort of target, and then also logical place to see any resistance if we are going to turn back down. I'm not saying that we are, but if we are, that would be where we'd see that. And then if we are going to pull down, we've got this level here, all this volume from across this consolidation area, essentially right here. Okay, so there's that consolidation. It's partly volume from this stuff here, and then probably even a little bit right here too. If we look at this on a smaller time frame, you're going to see some consolidation there, right? This is consolidation throughout here. So this is where even if we were to draw a profile here, you can see, big chunks of volume kind of within here, more so at this area right now here. But then even if we sort of pull this across, get rid of some of this stuff. Again, you see the volume right there. So that's some of what we're dealing with there. And let me just get rid of some of this stuff. Okay. So that's some of the stuff to be aware of on the bigger picture. To the upside, 15,595.50, to the downside, 15,097.75. Okay. Looking at this again a little bit more granularly, we're really just going to see kind of more of the same. You're going to see all these levels. You can see how this level in here is really sort of the key level, but there's also this down here, which we're sort of testing right now. So this level here, 15,324.50 at the bottom here, it'd be interesting to see if we break that, then I think it's high probability we pull back down into this essentially like 15,100 level, 15,100 level. So I think, we're kind of watch this 15,324, down to even 15,3. If we break below 300, then it's possible we come down and test 100. And so on the short term, you can be looking for trades to the downside. If we pull up out of this, and this seems to be a test and a push up, then I think we look for trades to the upside intraday all the way up to 95.50. So that's sort of like a game plan, right? Are we going to break and come down and test this? Or are we going to break and go up and test this? And that gives you your targets of where you can trade up or down to. I think it's super helpful to have an idea of where the market is going. So that's NASDAQ. Now, if we look at the ES, we're going to see a lot of very similar things. And yesterday in the trade room, I mentioned that if we're going to go up, I gave a target of 26. And you can see we went right up to 26. And then sort of intraday, let me go to the 15-minute chart. Intraday, we blew right through 26 and we tested this level up here about 30.50 is where I had a level up there. And then we came down. And in the Discord channel that we have, as we were coming back up here, I said, watch the 30.50 area. And if you look at this candle right here, this came really just within the hour after I posted that. The high of this was 30.50. We pulled down off of that, never broke the 30.50 and came all the way down to 45.15. And that's kind of where we stopped. So let me just pull this over so you can see. And I think you should be able to see this now. This is the Discord channel. So, okay, 11:33. I said went right through 26, and I said if we break the 22, the downside target is a test of the overnight range, 07 to 11-ish. And then this was at 149. I said, or no, I'm sorry, at 11:58. I said watch for resistance at 30.50. So again, going back to the chart. We didn't quite come down to the downside target there. We did come down to it ultimately. We came down to 10.25, and you can see we never broke this high there. We did obviously break 30.50, but levels aren't exact. It's an area that you should look to. The highest we got was 31.25, so that's pretty darn close, right? And we touched 30.50 at 12 o'clock. So this is literally minutes after I said, watch the area for resistance, and it really held nicely and came down. And so, why did I say watch that area for resistance? Well, if we look at it on a small time frame, essentially this is what happened. We came up, you can see this was a little bit of a stall at the 26, pushed through it, retested the area on that candle, pushed up again. And what we want to take note of is the volume. Look where that volume is, right at 30.50, right? So from this rejection area, we created substantial volume and then tested here. Now, I actually took a short off of this because I did have this level identified on my chart already, and I was watching the order flow and I saw some pretty significant absorption come in right at this level, which is where all this volume came from. And so when I saw that absorption and then we started to push down, I went short. I took profit right around this area down here, right around the 26 area. So that was a really nice, good risk reward play for a nice short there. So that was a nice trade to take. Okay, enough of what happened yesterday on S&P. Let's look forward to today and just see, again, What are we looking for here? Let's zoom out. Got a lot of lines on this chart, so it's going to be a little bit tough on the eyes when we look at this on the weekly. In fact, I don't even think we need to go weekly. Let's go 8 hour. So we just need to know what's going on right now. So again, here's our level here at 26. You can see this other little level here at 34.50, just a touch higher. But this is the area that we're really kind of looking out for here. Is this going to break or is this going to hold? Now, the fact that NASDAQ isn't yet testing, again, just to remind you, NASDAQ over here, this is the same sort of topping pattern, and we're not even up to it yet on NASDAQ. So it'll be interesting to see, the correlation between these two markets and how those play out. So the NASDAQ is a little bit weaker than the S&P right now. The S&P is very close to all-time highs. And so we kind of want to just see how we deal with this. If we don't deal with this well, then we're probably going to pull back a little bit. If we're going to balance, we pull back, maybe to this low volume area right around the 500 level. And maybe we just kind of pull back a little bit there, maybe probe up a little and just create a little bit more balancing just like we did here before getting ready for a push up, right? Or we come down, it's very possible we come down, we test all the way down here. This wouldn't be unreasonable to test the 37 to 40 area. It's the next area of significant volume. If we pull this profile, if we pull this profile here and, again, let's just make sure we're grabbing all of it, see what's going on. So nothing really changes there. But if we just kind of look at this sort of more immediate price action, you can see this level right here, this 41.25. That's, again, all this consolidation down here, all this consolidation here, and then we pushed through it. This was the ideal long entry. I missed it, but see how we pushed through this significant level and then came back down and tested it beautifully, and then a very strong push up. So this level's been tested, but it would be a logical place if we're going to come down again for us to retest. It's also very possible that we simply retest, some of these other like high volume areas, like just up here, kind of like the top of this thing, something like that, right? Obviously, you can look at it just as this, you got this volume here, but I think if we look at the bigger picture, I think we're going to get a clearer idea of what could possibly happen there. So, these are just the things to kind of be aware of. These are the things to look out for as we're looking at these charts, as we're looking at any of our significant levels. This is kind of what we're looking for going into the day. If we zoom in a little bit more, this has been a very aggressive movement up. And so you see like little bits of volume here that have kind of getting tested right now. You've got your volume down here. Again, in this area, I think is just overall sort of an interesting area because we have it on the big picture and on this smaller time frame. So I think this is an interesting area to test. There's certainly some stuff to be aware of. And same thing with this, like just kind of interesting, the volumes down in this area. But I think we have to watch this level. We have to watch how we deal with this like 26 to 30 area. And are we going to continue to reject down off of that? And then if so, how far do we go? If we push up through that on the S&P, again, I think what we need to be aware of just on the bigger picture is, really it's all of this volume that we need to be sort of concerned with. If we push up out of this, then I think, obviously we test the highs and decent probability that we ultimately break the highs if we sort of get up through this stuff. But, watching those areas is going to be crucial. It's going to be very crucial to just seeing where we go from here. So I've got a lot of lines on this chart. It's bothering me a little bit. I just want to clean this up a little. Again, let's just stay aware of, whoops, that's not what I want. I want the 8 hour. Stay aware of kind of our bigger picture here. What are we looking at? And again, I think these are the significant areas. This retest was just too good. I'm really kind of bummed that I missed that. I did take a long Just not that clean of one, so I didn't go in with as good of size as I could have. But I did take a long that actually hit profit target yesterday. So a um, nice little trade there as we came up into this resistance. I took profit, and I actually took a short down here as well on Nasdaq that I took profit on, kind of around this area. But I was looking to see if we were going to continue. It didn't look like we were going to, so I closed out part of it at this resistance, and then closed out the rest on a stop that I trailed. So really, these are the key areas. This is the key stuff we want to be aware of. Just looking through this whole thing, right? This is the key stuff. And, there are some smaller areas. If we were to just take portions of the volume, you'd get some of these smaller areas. But ultimately, I think the real meat and potatoes of stuff is sort of accounted for with these larger areas. Like this is sort of the onset of volume here. This level here is just not that significant to me. It's significant on a really small time frame, but I just don't, you can scalp it maybe, but maybe something to be aware of, but I wouldn't expect any kind of major turning points to happen there. Um, and this, on the bigger picture, it's this lower level. On this smaller time frame, it's this higher level. But just kind of being aware of this general area, I think, is probably an overall good thing to be aware of if we do come down for a possible turning point back up. Okay, that's what I got for today. I know it's a bit long, but I haven't done analysis in a bit, and so I just wanted to make sure you guys were able to see all of that. And yeah, so you were able to see sorry, I just want to make sure you're able to see the Discord when I pulled that up. Okay, I'm going to close out here. Hope you guys have a great trading day, and we'll catch up with you sometime soon.